Hello, witches and wizards, and welcome back to episode 8. Wow, a month in to the amazing podcast that is Potterwatch, your home for everything Harry Potter, Wizarding World. It's all right here. I'm Congy, your host, and as it is a Friday, of course, we are reviewing a chapter from the Harry Potter books. It's episode 4 technically of this, we do it once a week, you know the gist, and we are on chapter 4 of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, the Keeper of Keys, and we will be delving in deep, looking in the mud and we're sort of squelching around, finding all the secrets and fun little tidbits in this chapter. But of course, in the intro, I've just got to thank you all for the continued support on this as we grow the sort of channel. Obviously, do leave a like, comment your thoughts on it below, comment your thoughts ahead of next week's chapter, chapter 5, Diagon Alley, with any questions, things like that. I can answer them, I'll try and answer them, I guess. And of course, just hit that like button, subscribe, comment, all that YouTube jazz. And yeah, I guess so far, we'll do a bit of an overview. Obviously, we've done the first 3 chapters. Harry was dropped off as a baby at Privet Drive by a man called Professor Dumbledore. He's grown up with the Dursleys. He's let a snake out. Crazy guy. That snake, Bjorg, I want to give a shout out to Bjorg. It's like, in that video, he was like, what I find funny is, the snake thinks it can get to Brazil. And it's like, that is the how snakes on the plane started. Harry Potter let snake out, and that snake wanted to go to Brazil. Snakes on a plane. Samuel Jackson, you've got Harry Potter to thank. So there we go. And then, of course, last time out, Harry was getting some mysterious letters from no one. Ooh. Except it's from a school, as we're about to find out in this chapter right here. The Keeper of Keys. And as we'll get into, I feel like this is the only time Hagrid's really referred to the Keeper of Keys. Like, after this is just the groundsman. Like, he don't have any keys on him. Surely that's more of a caretaker role as well, but I'm jumping ahead of myself, of course. So I've got my notes on my phone today because I read in bed at night and I put the notes on the phone and then I copy them over to the laptop. I hit record and I was like, bugger, I've not put them on my laptop today. So there we go. So I'll be looking at my phone a bit. So this chapter is not really about the Keeper of Keys, don't worry. We're going to learn Harry Potter is a wizard. A half-giant named Hagrid comes to the hut on the rock. You think he's all scary. He's actually a lovely little giant. Well, not a little giant, but he is actually a little giant, because he's half-giant, I guess. But he's all fun and cool and all that, and then, yeah, he finds out he's a wizard, and Dudley's going to get a pig's tail. Not in his hair either, an actual pig's tail. So I guess we will begin with, boom, they knocked again. Dudley jerked awake. Where's the cannon? He said stupidly. Like, what? Was this guy dreaming about, like, a war, a battle? Like, what do you mean, where's the cannon? I know you say some weird stuff. I've woke up before, like, oh, what's going on? Like, I don't go, where's the cannon? Like, let's go blow some buggers up. Like, this guy's a very violent boy. Yeah, just, unless he's dreaming about, like, some World War II, some very early wars, because we don't really use cannons now, do we? Even here in 1991, the most recent war was the Falklands, about 10 years previous. They weren't using cannons in that war. No. So, yeah. Is he a medieval little nerd, Dudley? Thought you were a cool guy. I always find that funny. I need to keep my phone on. So, anyway. There was a crash behind. Uncle Vernon came skidding down. He was holding a rifle in his hands. We now know what the long thing package was. So yeah, he bought a rifle off the gummy old man last time. It's like, Jesus, Vernon, were you prepared to murder a wizard? I've never really, you just think, oh, he's protected, but he's going to aim the gun and like shoot this person if they come try and break in, which, fair enough. Breaking and entering, there's been people who have argued that. A farmer, I think, spent a few years in prison, to be fair for it. He died recently. He was quite famous. I think he shot 2 people dead on his farm. I know in the US, obviously, it's something with the right to bear arms, all that fun. But yeah, was Vernon really going to just shoot someone? Would he have shot Hagrid if he got given the chance, just like right between the eyes? You're breaking and entering, and pew, no warning. I'm pretty sure it's prison sentence, Vernon. But there we go. He goes, I'm armed. Like, oh, good, we know. Then there was a smash. The door hit the floor with such force, right? It swung clean off its hinges, and with a deafening crash, landed on the floor. A giant man was standing in the doorway. His face was almost completely hidden by a long, shaggy mane of hair, and a wild, tangled beard, but you could make out his eyes glinting like black beetles. So, again, obviously, the author in this, very... And I think a lot of things can be told by the eyes. If you've got like that sort of dead look in your eyes. I was watching a documentary on the LDFS, like the sort of reshoot after Warren Joyce, the new one with that Sam I forgot what you're called anyway. And he's like main sort of wife. She even now she looks like, unfortunately, still dead behind the eye. It's so sad, but you can tell when so it's just like. So I understand, but yeah, the author obviously does take a lot with what the eyes look like here. Voldemort's, I think Draco's at times, Lucius's, Snape, cold eyes, Dumbledore's twinkling eyes, and Hagrid's glinting black beetle eyes. And then the giant squeezed into the hut, stooping so his head brushed the ceiling. He bent down and just put the door back on. Just sorry about. I love that in the film, like the sorry about that. And he doesn't say it here. His first thing he says was, "Couldn't make me a cup of tea, could you? It's not been an easy journey." I like the sorry about that. Sort of just automatically relieves all tension. I know, obviously, asking for a cuppa does as well. Like, don't mind, just want to make a cuppa, but no, just. I prefer, sorry about that. In the film, I will say it's one of my favourite lines so far compared to the. I think he just goes to Dudley, budge up, you great lump. Like Hagrid's just not holding any back. He's like, you've made me come out of the way all here. I've been chasing you all this time. Oh, budge up, you great fat lump. And that's one thing I didn't like in the films, him not recognising Harry and obviously saying, you put on a bit of a, you're a bit more alone than I expected, particularly around the middle. I didn't like that in the film. I do prefer this, him just automatically noticing Harry. And he goes, there's Harry. And the beetle black eyes were crinkled in a smile. Last time I saw you was only a baby. You look a lot like your dad, but you got your mum's eyes. I will touch on this. I can't remember if I've touched on this already in the last few weeks, but everyone recognising him from his mum's eyes always annoys me. Like, I think I did. I was like, I can't remember what my dad's eyes look like. And I've looked into them for 27, not long and lean to my dad's eyes for 27, but I've known my dad for 27 years. I don't know what his eyes look like, really. My girlfriend, I look her in the eye every night when we go to sleep. Unfortunately, I can't tell you what my girlfriend's eyes look like. If my child had I'd have to look at them both at the same time. So this thing of ever remembering what Lily's eyes look like always throws me a bit, always baffles me. Like, what? How do you know what the eyes look like? Like, huh. It makes more sense. People like Hagrid, McGonagall, Dumbledore, I think, like I said that before. But like when random people who've probably met Lily twice, 15 years ago when she was 16, or whatnot, them knowing her, like how her eyes look like, it's like, what? No, that's not how it works at all. No. You do not remember what Lily Potter's eyes look like. Unless you've all got like a shrine to her in your house or something. You look at that picture every day. I don't know. Anyway, obviously then Hagrid starts to talk to Harry, and then I think I've done I've flicked a few pages. Uncle Vernon made a funny rasping noise, and then he just goes, "I demand you leave at once, sir. You are breaking and entering." And it's, shut up, Dursley, you great prune. And prune's such a good insult. I've always liked that. And he just reached over for the gun. Look, this is actually maybe even better than the film again. He just sort of like lying back on the chair, goes, that sort of thing, and just bangs the gun up, as if it had been made of rubber, and threw it into the corner of the room. Unlucky, try shooting him with that. And then Uncle Vernon made another funny noise, like a mouse being trolling on. And Vernon, for a serious guy, in this chapter and obviously in the last chapter, this guy can make some funny noises. Like mouses being trolled on here. Like, showing he's not really like that brave, proper man he is. He wilts under everything. He's like, I can imagine those sort of noises he's making as Hagrid has just picked up his weapon and just gone, you know what I think of that? See you later, mate. So, and then, anyway, Harry said the giant turning his back on the Dursleys. A very happy birthday. I love how he knows it's his birthday. And he gives him he's got something for him. I might have sat on it at some point, but it'll taste all right. And I doubt that. I mean, if you've been sat, like, I'm not being funny, it's a horrible storm outside. You're a big man. If something's in there and you've sat on it with your massive backside for quite a while, I reckon that cake is going to taste a bit not nice, is what I'm going to say. A bit not nice. That's all I'd say there. And so, yeah, a bit not nice, that cake. But happy birthday. It's a large sticky chocolate cake, which again, I'm always, I call it like the movies where you spell it happy, H-A-P-P-E or H-A-P-E-E, happy. But on here it's spelled correctly, happy birthday, in green icing. And the cake, to be fair, you know what? The cake in the film, like the green icing and the pink writing, that always did look nice to me. I was always like, oh yeah. To be honest, I'd probably eat that. Yeah. You know what? Harry looked up to the giant. He meant to say thank you, but the words got lost on the way to his mouth. And what came out of, who are you? I love how, yeah, maybe you're having a stroke or something, Harry. I don't know. And then, yeah, Hagrid then goes, true, having introduced myself, Rubius Hagrid, keeper of keys and grounds at Hogwarts. He held out an enormous hand and shook Harry's whole arm. So again, yeah, obviously, why don't anyone call him Rubeus? Like, did you hate that name? Like, what's wrong with Ruby? Like, oh, it's good old Ruby. I call him Ruby all the time. Like, oh, good old Ruby or Rubeus. Yeah, it's Hagrid, obviously, because he's called Hagrid. You know, we all just, oh yeah, he's Hagrid, isn't it? But I'd call him Rubeus or Ruby. Yeah, God, everyone should call him that. And yeah, the keeper of keys and grounds at Hogwarts. And like I said earlier, this guy does not become keeper of keys after this chapter. He's like the groundsman. You know, he's the groundskeeper. He's groundkeeper Willie. Like, to me, Filch, the caretaker's more of a key man. Grounds guys, you know, you've got the outside area. You don't get me focused on keys. I understand Dumbledore might trust him a bit more, but yeah, I feel like after this chapter, he just loses that. It's like, yeah, I'm just the key man now. I'm just the groundsman now. You know, I lost them keys. No one can find them. There's no key man at Hogwarts anymore. And then yeah. So what about that tea then, eh? He started rubbing his hand. I'd not say something stronger if you've got it in mind. So Dursley's, he's just not waved it. He's like, guys, I asked for a cup of tea. You know, be a bit polite. We're Britain, you know, we're in England here. You know, politeness. Ask for, you know, I'm asking you to make me a cup of tea. Why aren't we making this cup of tea? I don't know. But I love how he's like, but if you've got any, you know, some alcohol in, I'll have a few. You know, I've only just rowed a boat. You know, get me a few shots of brandy or whiskey or, you know, bottle of wine. Just hold me. I'm just a bit thirsty, and I'm a bit like that. Oh yeah, you know, if it's evening, oh yeah, I'll have a glass of Coke. Oh, you got a beer? I'll have a beer though. I'm not gonna say no to that beer. Who said no to that beer? So yeah, I respect Hagrid for that. Absolutely. But then he like saw the shriveled crisp package and he snorted like pathetic. And so he bent down over the fireplace. They couldn't see what was going on, but he drew back a second later. There was a roaring fire. He made a fire. They couldn't do that with shriveled crisp packets. It's magic. Ooh, magic. So yes, he's done some magic and he's just having a bit of fun with it, isn't he? So he then goes out of his pockets, and his coat is just brilliant. He takes out a copper kettle, a squashy pack of sausages, a poker, a teapot, several chipped mugs, and a bottle of some amber liquid. And he starts to make tea. So this guy wanted all the stuff he said from the Dursleys, he had in his pocket. So yes, this was the first spell we really get to see, because obviously you get to see the Deluminator and McGonagall turn from cat to human and back to cat again. But obviously Hagrid putting the fire on, to me, is like the first proper spell of the game. And obviously then we get all these stuff out of the bag, you know, the squashy sausages. I always think like they're really, obviously, I was listening to Ben Carling's version, and obviously the Carling brothers' version of this, and obviously their sausages I don't think I like Cumberland sausage, you know, the big nice juicy sausages my dad does on like a Saturday, Sunday morning, you know, proper fry up. This, you know, this thick, beautiful, they are squashy. That is one way to describe them. But yeah, as like I said, obviously it's quite funny how he's got all the stuff to make the tea and also some alcohol all in his coat. He's just like, do you know how many pockets this coat has? Do you think I can be asked going through all this and getting everything out to make it? No, you go get me. But he's like, oh, well. And we will come to see in this chapter, and even in the next chapter, obviously, what else Hagrid's pockets can store. Obviously, he had the bloody cake in there as well. It's just like, how does he not lose stuff? I've got 2 pockets on my shorts and I misplaced my key, got to put the thing out. That's how crazy. That's how stupid I am. Yeah, this guy's got 50,000 pockets. He knows where the cake is, the amber liquid. He's nothing but prepared. I love this part. Uncle Vernon says sharply, "Don't touch anything he gives you," and the giant chuckled darkly. "You great pudding of a son don't need any fatting anymore." Say Hagrid's quite a big guy, obviously he's half giant, so maybe he's small for a half giant, but he's a pretty big guy. He's like, "Yeah, don't worry, your fat shit doesn't need anything else." Like, wow, this guy really hates this kid. Like, he doesn't even know how horrible they've really been yet. And he's still being horrible at this kid, I know he's made it difficult for him, so maybe he's just taking a bit of that out, but he doesn't know they've kept the secret, really, as we'll come to find out. He's just being mean for the sake of it. It's like, yeah, I don't like fat people. He passed the sausage to Harry, who was so hungry he'd never tasted anything so wonderful. And that feeling there of like, when you're really hungry and you get that sandwich, it don't have to be anything special, but oh my God, it is a wonderful feeling when you're hungry. It's like, oh, food, glorious food. I am safe. So, as finally as nobody seemed to explain anything, he said, "I'm sorry, but I still don't know who you really are." The giant took a great gulp of tea and wiped his mouth and said, "Call me Hagrid. Everyone does." Why, though? Again, what's wrong with Rubeus? I'm going to call him Rubeus for all this now. So Rubeus carried on. "I'm the keeper of keys at Hogwarts." "No, you're the groundskeeper." "Stop saying you're the keeper of keys." "You'll know about Hogwarts, of course." "No." Hagrid looked shocked. Sorry? And this is what Hagrid's temper is like showing off for the first time, turning to scare the Dursleys, who shrank back into the shadows. "It's them who should be sorry. I knew you weren't getting your letters, but I never thought you wouldn't be know anything about Hogwarts, for crying out loud. Did you never wonder where any of your parents learned it all?" "All what?" And then Hagrid just loses it. "All what?" Now, wait just 1 second. The Dursleys were I can imagine this, like Hagrid's like, he's leaning over him. He's probably as wide as all three of them. Obviously, Petunia helping that being very, very skinny. "Do you mean to tell me that this boy knows nothing about anything?" Harry thought this was going a bit far. He had been at school and his maths weren't bad. I can do maths and stuff. And it's like, Harry, not the time, mate. This is what I can't transport myself to an 11-year-old brain here, thinking, I know some stuff like maths and stuff. It's like, yeah, Harry, it just means about like life, like something. He doesn't mean you're a fucking idiot or anything like that. He just means you've not learned about stuff. But that's like an 11-year-old response. They're like, "I do know maths and stuff, Hagrid." Rubeus, sorry. But yeah, it's like, well, Harry, now's got the time. This guy's in full-fledged rage. But there we go. And let me get my notes back up. So we've done Hagrid angry. Yeah, Hagrid, obviously, throughout the books, will get angry at certain points, And it's sometimes he's actually like really calm when he's not like, Chamber of Secrets, he's quite calm to see what's going on. Obviously, Prisoner is a bit of a mess drunk, and then like Audrey can get angry and Harpley gets. You know what? I might just be imagining this. Maybe he doesn't get angry a lot. Maybe I'm imagining that. I feel like he does get angry quite a bit though. But thinking on it, I don't think he does. So you know what? I'll withdraw that point for now. We'll come back to it maybe. Hagrid simply waved his hand. "About our world, I mean your world, my world, your parents' world." "What world?" "Babylon." "No, it's not Babylon." And he looked like he was about to explode. Imagine Hagrid explode. That'd be a lot of mess. And you shout, "Dursley!" I like how he's blaming Uncle Vernon here. Aunt Petunia's be related to the witch. She's related to Lily. She's just as culpable. And poor Vernon Dursley, who never wanted a part of this. Let's be honest, he didn't sign up for this. He wasn't part of this until Petunia dragged him. And somehow he's getting all the blame. Uncle Vernon, who'd gone very pale, whispered something that sounded like, "Mimblewimble." And Mimblewimble is is it Mimblewimble, the Spelling Chamber of Secrets PC, where if you cast it, obviously in the dueling club, like the other person can't do their spells properly. I'm pretty sure it's Mimblewimble. But I just love that. Mimblewimble. Hagrid stared wildly at Harry. "But you must know about your mum and dad. I mean, they're famous. You're famous." "What? My mum and dad weren't famous, were they?" "You don't know yet, Hagrid." It's taking a long time for Hagrid to realise he doesn't know anything. I'm pretty sure Harry made that pretty clear 5 sentences ago. He doesn't know about the world. He doesn't know. If he didn't know about the world, why would he know about the famous stuff? He didn't know about the school. He doesn't know about the world. Like, you just seem to just not be comprehending this, Hagrid. He knows bugger all. But we'll get there eventually. "You don't know yet, Hagrid." It's clicking. He's ringing it like you don't know. You don't know what you are. And then Uncle Vernon finally found his voice and said, "Stop right there. I forbid you to tell the boy anything." I always like this line. It's interesting. A braver man than Vernon Dursley were quailed under the furious look that Hagrid now gave him. And every line Hagrid spoke trembled with rage. And obviously we talk about how you never told him what was in the letter Dumbledore left for him. I was there. I saw Dumbledore leave it. And you've kept it from me all these years. And then Harry is very eager at this point. Kept me from what? Stop! I forbid you. And then go bow your heads, both of you. Harry, you're a wizard. And it sort of comes out, and I like the build up to it. But again, I think the film, like that mystique, and obviously the music, like, you ever wonder where your mum and dad learned it all? Look what? You're a wizard, Harry. Thumpy good one, I'd wager. This sort of just spills out. I sort of like the build up, and I always think, yeah, like, you think Verne's been brave standing up to him, but really he's just scared of what's going to happen. Like, a brave would have just accepted. A brave man would just be like, yeah, you know what, you've won here. I understand, but obviously he's more sticking up because he's afraid of what will happen next, rather than he's brave, like standing up to Hagrid, which is, yeah, really interesting. And then, I'm a what? A wizard, of course, said Hagrid. Obviously, with a mum and dad like yours, what else should be? I reckon it's about time you had your letter. And then we finally get to see that letter, with the purple, Mr. H. Potter, the hut on the rock, the sea. And again, if Dumbledore's writing these letters, like how does he not? It's just weird how he knows he's at the hut on the rock, obviously, unless Hagrid's following, but to know where he's on the floor, again, I think I touched on this last time out. It's a bit interesting how he sort of knows where he is at each time, like, he's there now, he's there now, and yeah, I just find that, again, just a bit interesting. And then obviously we've got the letter, Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, Headmaster, Albus Dumbledore, Order of Merlin First Class, Grand Sorcerer, Chief Warlock, Supreme Mugwump, International Confed of Wizards. Some titles, but have you won Witch Weekly's Charming Smile of Lord 5 times? No, you haven't. Yeah, I always love the word Mugwump, and there is like an actual, like, real word, Mugwump. If I pull it up, Mugwump, a person who remains aloof or independent, especially from party politics. So it's like someone who's very independent, and that is Dumbledore to a T, obviously, at this point. He wants nothing to do with politics. He doesn't want to be the minister. So Mugwump, being Supreme Mugwump, sort of, that's not what the sort of title is in the Wizarding world, but obviously the real life meaning of Mugwump. Very astute and, like, very, yeah, that fits Dumbledore down to a T, I feel. And obviously, we're pleased to inform you that you're a place at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. Enclosed with a list of necessary books and equipment. Term begins 1st of September. We wait your hour by no later than the 31st of July, sorry. Yours sincerely, Minerva McGonagall. I like how it's not Dumbledore saying these, like, so it's signed McGonagall. So is she the one doing all this, or is it Dumbledore? Like, because it's signed by her, but yeah, so is she prowling around as a cat in the summer again? It always makes me think, who's actually doing all this work? And if you said it might be on the Wizarding world, it probably isn't. I feel like they stopped doing a lot of the extra tidbits and stuff, the more fun stuff, quite a while ago. And obviously today, it's just gone July 31st, obviously. We're at like 10 minutes past midnight, July 31st. But what happens if what if Errol got lost? I'm just saying, Errol, we set him off, he gets lost. What happens? Like, it arrives August 2nd. Can he not go to Hogwarts when wrong? He's like, no, you can come here today. Bye. Like, what happens if you don't get your owl by July 31st? Do we offer it to someone else who might be a bit magical, but not too magical? I wonder. And obviously, we then get questions exploding inside Harry's head like firework. And after a few minutes, he stammers, "What does it mean they await my owl?" Oh, Harry, have I got news for you? And then we get Galloping Gorgons, and I feel like this is the only time Galloping Gorgons gets said. So this is like, not a swear, it's a bit like, it could be a bit of like, oh shit, or oh god, like, yeah, that sort of like explanation, it's not just, instead it always then gets replaced by Gulping Gargoyles rather than Galloping Gorgons. Like, Gulping Gargoyles becomes like, literally in about 4 sentences time, or 2 pages time, that becomes the sort of word this Hagrid starts to use. But yeah, Galloping Gorgons, like, I don't think it gets used again. If it does, let me know where and in which book. But from then on, obviously, we get like Gulping Gargoyles and Merlin's Beard, them sort of ones, and obviously Dobby's Sock, Voldemort's Nipple. No, they are Potter puppet pal swear words. And your grandmother's a hippopotamus, beep boop beep. Oh, I remember getting in trouble for watching that. I was not, my dad, who was manager of football, was like, "Oh, you can't come to the show." I was like 8. I was like, but it bleeps it all out. yeah, my friend, a bit of an older friend, showed me it, and it was hilarious. And then then Hagrid, he hit himself with enough force to knock over a cart horse. Like, Hadouken, like how hard have you got to do that to like hit over a cart horse? And does Hagrid's head hurt after doing that? Jesus Christ. And this is the craziest one. Hagrid has a bloody owl in his coat. He's just got an owl. Like, imagine, that's animal cruelty. I'm sorry, Hagrid. Why have you got an owl in your coat pocket? Like, surely you're not allowed that. That is awful. That's horrible. It's mean. Poor little owl. Oh, it was all ruffled and confused. It's probably like, oh, it barely breathed. Like, yeah, you've got a few mice in there, but he also pulled out a long quill and a roll of parchment. Yeah, I wonder how big a quill has got to be for Hagrid. And with his tongue between his teeth, he scribbled a note. Dear Mr. Dumbledore, given Harry's letter, taking you to buy things tomorrow. Weather's horrible. Hope you're well, Hagrid. And again, this is another thing. When no one ever after this, not Hagrid, not anyone, goes, Mr. Dumbledore. It's Professor Dumbledore. He's got that title for a reason. Or you call him Albus, or you call him Dear Dumbledore. Big D. That's Douglas, isn't it? But yeah, you just never hear Mr. Dumbledore. It sounds weird, doesn't it? Like, Mrs. McGonagall, can I go to the toilet? It sounds, Miss McGonagall, sorry, or Mr. Snape, Mr. Hagrid. Obviously, they get referred to as like Mr. Potter, Mr. Weasley, Miss Granger, or just Longbottom Potter. But yeah, Miss Hooch, that was a foul. I mean, she's Madam Hooch, to be fair, she's not Professor. But yeah, very, very odd how he just says that. And yeah, I just love how, like, we'll squeeze in. Weather's horrible. Very, like, British. You're like when you arrive somewhere and, like, holiday. Like, I don't know. Again, I don't want to be like, I hate them sort of Facebook and Twitter posts like, oh, this is very British. Like, people probably do this all over. But when you first get to somewhere, like, it's either going to be really hot or really cold. Like, the first time I go, weather's beautiful, 30 degrees, going for a beer. Like, when I went to Spain with my mates last year, got off the plane, got on the bus, got off the bus, beautiful weather, Dad, off for a beer, see you soon. That's, again, I'm not saying it's a very British thing, maybe it is, because I just love how he's, very short, so he's just put, yeah, weather's horrible, hope you're well. Like he's expecting, it's like more of a text message, isn't it? Because is he expecting a reply? Yes, Hagrid, very well, thank you. Don't forget the special mission I gave you, as we'll get onto in the next chapter. But yeah, Hagrid rolled up the door, gave it to the owl, which clamped its beak, and it went out the door and flew, and threw the owl out into the sea. Threw it like you're going to need a bit of a start up in this horrible storm. And obviously, with owls, and we'll touch on it much later on in the books, but I just feel like, how's that know where it's got? Like, that owl's just knows it's got Dumbledore. At least we know where Dumbledore, he might be at school. I don't know. Harry and like Goblet of Fire, like, I can't imagine Dumbledore on the beach or anything like that. But yeah, it's just like how in Prison of Azkaban, Head was just finding Sirius Black. Like, it makes no. I know there's always that joke. Oh, you've got to, why don't the Ministry just send Sirius Black a letter or Voldemort a letter and we can just go find him, something like that, and just follow the owl. But yeah, I always wonder that, and I probably need to do a bit of research into it. It's probably like, but if your friend, there's a magical friendship. Love Harry, love something daft like that. Because Voldemort could just send a letter to bloody Harry. I mean, to be honest, he probably knows he's a Privet Drive. Like, but it's made probably aware. But no, anyway, I'm veering off. And then a few months go past. Harry realised his mouth was open. And where was I? Uncle Vernon, he's back. He's not going down without fighting. You know what, Vernon? I respect this. He could have just, like, he's lost now. He knows it's over. But Vernon's like, you know what? No, I'm not having this. I'm going to go in for 2 more rounds. He's not going, he said. I'd like to see a muggle, like a great muggle like you, stop him. A what? A muggle. It's what we call non-magic folk. Folk like them. And it's your bad you grew up in a family of the biggest muggles I ever laid eye on. And again, this is sort of like, McGonagall sort of used it in a similar way. You're like, these are the biggest muggles. So it's almost like they do use it as an insult, but only in like the most extreme cases. Obviously, because we know Hagrid, like, Lily, Hermione's, he's very excited. He was an outcast. He was a half giant going to Hogwarts. And we'll touch on that when we find out he's a half giant. Like, I never got that. It felt like I just always knew he was a half giant, but people in the wizarding world apparently didn't. But anyway, he was like that outcast. But yeah, I feel like McGonagall used it in chapter 1 and people Hagrid using it here. Like when you're a proper muggle, like you hate magic, muggles like an insult. Oh, these are the biggest muggles ever. But obviously muggles normally, cool, we like muggles, but these are the biggest muggles ever. So it's almost, it's weird to see it in that context from like the good people and not like Voldemort and these guys. And then obviously Vernon goes on, we swore when we took him in, we put a stop to that rubbish. We swore we stomp it out of him. Like, Jesus, were you stamping on this baby? Like, magic, get it out. Wizard indeed. I mean, you knew, Harry, again, do these people just not listen? Like, Hagrid didn't listen about Harry not knowing. It's like, you knew I'm a wizard. Yeah, Harry, he said you didn't tell him. Were you not listening to Hagrid? He got so angry. He's like, you didn't tell him he was a wizard. You didn't tell him about that letter. You like just sort of like gloss over Harry's head. And then Petunia pipes up. Knew? Shrieked Petunia. Knew? Of course we knew. How could you not be? My dratted sister being... Again, my dratted... I'm not... You know, I've read this book so many times. My dratted sister. I've not actually ever noticed that. I've read this and I've listened to it. And obviously in the movies, it's my perfect sister being what she was. So dratted, annoyance or irritation. Well, very posh word. So yeah, she just got a letter like even disappeared off to that school and came home every holiday with a frog spawn, turning teacup into rat. And of course, we know she shouldn't be doing that because, you know, she lives in a muggle house, you have a trace, all that stuff. So obviously this sort of forms into her being over at Snape's here, where the trace probably wouldn't work as well because there's a witch in that house, and as we learn, the trace is stupid and pathetic, and only can tell if there's magic being done in a house, but not who's in that house. So if there's multiple wizards in the house, it doesn't pop off. But if there's only one wizard in the house and that wizard is underage, it doesn't matter if they didn't do it, i.e. Dobby, and like i.e. Moody, because they use magic to get into the house and stuff. I'm sure in the order of things, I'm surprised like bloody the always want there straight away, like, oh, coming for you. But yeah, so obviously we know later on she's with Snape, so that must mean she's with Snape at this point. I was the only one who saw her for what she was, a freak. But my mother and father, oh no, it was Lily this and Lily that. They were proud of having a witch in the family. And again, obviously, I'm guessing she'd never admit to them, but she wrote letters to Dumbledore, begging to go to Hogwarts, wanting to be a witch. And I guess that's where that sort of hatred comes from. It comes from a jealousy, like people, oh my god, she's a witch, she's amazing. And obviously, she was rejected from it, like, oh, I'm sorry, you're not magic, sorry. And then she met that Potter at school and they left and got married and had you. And of course, I knew you'd be the same, just as strange, just as abnormal. And then, if you please, she went and got herself blown up. And we got landed with you. Well, she didn't get blown up. Like, she just got hit by a killing her. You know, if you read the letter, trust me, the house might have got blown up, but Lily's Potter body was nicely intact. And somehow Harry's body, even in the explosion of this house getting blown apart, somehow that baby just survived. Like, is that because it was Voldemort's curse? Because, yeah, you think Liz protected from Voldemort, but not for things blowing up. But there we go. That's again, I'm veering off track for a bit later on. Blown up, you told me you died in a car crash. A car crash killed Lily and James Potter. Obviously, he's a bit angry. Hagrid's angry again. Lily and James Potter, it's an outrageous scandal. Again, obviously, that sort of... I think you think back to wizards, they're a bit more immune and can take a few things. Because, like, Harry, like, some of the injuries he gets in Quidditch, even, I know Madame Pomfrey can just repair it straight away, but he's a tough guy. Like, when he breaks his arm in the next one, oh, yeah, I just broke my arm. Oh, caught a sketch for. Like, if I broke my arm now, I'd probably... it'd hurt so much. And, like, when he gets hurt a lot here, obviously he falls off his broom, he just wakes up, Goblet of Fire, gets burnt by a dragon. Like, if I burn myself on the kettle or stub me toe, like, but yeah, so wizards are like made of tougher stuff, and obviously we see that in Fantastic Beasts, like where Newt, when they're in the park, I think it's to get the grap horn, and Newt's like gearing Jacob up, and he's like, yeah, but you muggles are a bit soft, our bones and like stuff are a bit tougher than yours. So obviously the thought a car crash could kill someone, like obviously one, maybe magic, you can sort of make yourself, if you were about to be a car crash, like quick magic or even instinctive magic, could probably save you, bounce the car, or you could apparate or whatnot. and just let the other people down. I mean, that is probably worse, just separating out as the car's about to hit someone. But yeah, that's what I always get with that. Like, a car crash couldn't kill these amazing wizards. You know, they'd be a magic, or they, you know, they're just tougher. You know, a car crash isn't killing them. Again, that's what I always take away from that. And then obviously a scandal, Harry Potter not knowing his own story, when every kid in our world does. But why? What happened? Well, they were blowing up Harry. Like, that's a pretty big thing, though. I never expect. And then Hagrid is full of anxiousness. He's like, I never expected you not know to your own story. Oh God, what do I do? So, all right, Harry, I don't know if I'm the right person to tell you this, but someone's got to tell you. You can't go to Hogwarts not knowing, because you've got to be all cool and like, yeah, I'm Harry freaking Potter. I don't know who I am, and all that stuff. Well, especially as much as I kind of tell you, mind, I can't tell you everything. It's a great mystery part of it. You've got to wait till book 5 for most of it. He sat down, stared at 5 for a few seconds. It begins, I suppose, with a person called, but it's incredible. You don't know his name. Everyone in our world does. Who? Well, and Hagrid doesn't like saying the name, and he's like, why not? And then he does go, gulping gargoyles. Like, there we go. We've forgotten about the galloping gorgons. We're at gulping gargoyles now, and that fits a lot better. But Harry, people are still scared. Blimey, this is difficult. There was a wizard who went as bad as the bad, and worse. His name was Hagrid Gulp. No words. Could you write it down? No, I can't spell it. Well, Harry, Hagrid, you've just wrote a letter. And let me remind you what you wrote in that letter. All correct. You've written Dumbledore. You've written tomorrow. Horrible. You've written a lot of good words there. You cannot spell Voldemort. Like, come on, Hagrid. You just don't want to write it down, do you? You're scared of writing it down too. You could have just said that. No one's going to think less of you. But when you're spelling stuff like tomorrow and Dumbledore, you can spell Voldemort. But anyway, he goes, all right, Voldemort. Hagrid shuddered. Shuddered. Don't make me say it again. So this was about 20 years ago now. Start looking follows, which is interesting. So we know Voldemort left Hogwarts in 1940. I want to say 43. I won't say 43. So 20 years ago would be 71. He obviously works at Bolgy and Burt's for a few years. I think he works there for 2 years. Kills Hepzibah Smith, who's ring on. So we'll go say about 46. Let's say 46, 47. And you're telling me Voldemort then just disappeared for 15 years? Yeah. Is that 15? 10. It's 50. Well, 56. No, it's more, isn't it? 46. So 20 takes us to 66. You're telling me Voldemort just disappeared for 25 years? I always find that a bit weird. Like, he disappears. We know he creates a few. He kills his pet. He's already got 2 Horcruxes, and then he creates them. So we'll talk about 3 Horcruxes by the time, and then he just disappears for 25 years. I'm not having that. I just find that such a weird. I don't think the author, had planned out, obviously, at this point that Voldemort's going to be around in like the 40s. If we say 71, that's fair enough. He could be born like the 70s, the 50s. But yeah, to just disappear from 1946 and just reappear 25 years later, like, I'm Voldemort now. Like, what was he doing for the last 25 years? He already knows how to make Horcruxes. What dark magical stuff has he needed to do for the last 25 years? I always find that stupid. Yeah, I don't like that. But anyway, he's looking forwards, got them too. Some were afraid, some just wanted a bit of his power. And outside Peter Pettigrew, who he doesn't know about, I'd love to know who the ones were a bit afraid was joining him. Maybe they did the odd job for him, fair enough, but obviously a lot just wanted power. He was getting himself power, all right. Dark days, Harry. Didn't know who to trust, didn't get friendly with strange wizards or witches. Terrible things happened. He was taking over. Of course, some stood up to him and he killed them horribly. One of the only safe places left was Hogwarts. Reckoned Dumbledore's the only one you know who was afraid of. And obviously, McGonagall said this, and obviously Hagrid, again, is it conversation with Dumbledore? Because, a lot of people, Voldemort's never going to admit that, but obviously, it must be like, obviously Hagrid will find out knew Tom Riddle, so he must know Tom Riddle's Voldemort. And it's always weird that some people didn't know that. I think, like, in the next, is Molly Weasley shocked to find that Tom Riddle was Voldemort? I feel like more people should know that, and obviously, I know they weren't in the order of the last time round, but obviously people in the order of the first time round should have been like, Dumbledore should be like, yeah, so this guy used to be Tom Riddle, Remember him, Hagrid? Yeah. Remember him? You're the guy who set you up. Yeah, good times. But yeah, we're fighting him now. So it's Tom Riddle. If you call him Tom, probably don't call him Tom because it'll get him angry and he'll probably kill you. But anyway, yes. So Dumbledore was the only one he was afraid of. Didn't dare take over school, not just for anyway. And obviously that stands to reason. He doesn't take over the school until he takes over the ministry. Obviously that's after Dumbledore's death. So maybe it's weird how he's got to take. He's happy to take over a ministry, but he's scared to take over a school. And your mum and dad were just as good as witch and wizards as I ever knew, head boy and girl in their day. And obviously, people talk about this. Like James was definitely Quidditch captain, and James wasn't a seeker. This always pisses me off that people think James was a seeker because that stupid thing in Philosopher Stone. James was actually a chaser, as we find out in the books. I think he had a snitch and stuff. He was always floating around his head, but he wasn't even. He was a chaser. I'm pretty sure. Like I say, I feel like I've read that. Was James Potter a chaser? Yeah. Call the author, he was a chaser. Anyway, and obviously, but he wasn't a prefect, yet he made head boy. So I'm guessing Quidditch captains can also become head boys. You don't have to be a prefect. So like, if Harry had actually stuck about in year 7, he'd have been head boy, let's be honest. Sorry, Ron. Sorry, Draco. Ergie McMillan, and whoever the Ravenclaw one was, probably Terry Boot. No. Our guy Potter's going to be it. Even though you're all prefects, you've done a good job, except you, Draco. You did try and kill our headmaster last year. But Harry, you're the head boy. Anyway, that always clears that up. Suppose the mystery is why you know who never tried to get among his side before. I always find this a weird line. Like, he knew they were in the Order of the Phoenix. Obviously, again, at this point, the Order probably didn't exist, blah, blah. But obviously, in the story, we have to take it on further. But they were in the Order. Like, why would he try and recruit him? Also, his mum was a muggle. Like, come on. That's like the last person he's going to recruit. Fair enough, James. Powerful, pure blood family. But, like, as we find out, like, the Potters weren't. I don't think the Potters were on the sick. Like they were quite shunned for being, quite good people. Obviously, I don't think wizarding families particularly like the Potters. Your Malfoys, your Blacks, all them big ones. Don't think Crabs, Goyle, all them. They didn't like the Potters. So I never get that. Like, yeah, he goes. So guess he knew they were close to Dumbledore, not anything to do with that. So yeah, they were fighting against Voldemort, like in the Order of the Phoenix. Of course not. Again, I always just find that one bit weird, bit odd choicing, but there we go. Maybe he just wanted him out of the way. All anyone knows. Maybe he thought he could persuade him, and that's why he went. So he said, "Oh, maybe he could persuade him like Torch." But yeah, obviously we know it's about the prophecy, but we won't learn that for a while. Maybe he wanted him out of the way. No, maybe he wanted Harry out of the way because he heard a prophet. Well, Snape heard a prophecy. All anyone knows is Dumbledore knows more, and Snape. He turned up in the village where you were all living on Halloween 10 years ago. He was just a year old. He came to your house, and Hagrid suddenly pulled out of it, and obviously he cries. It's so sad. Knew your mum and dad. Nicer people you couldn't find anywhere. You know who killed them, and this is the real mystery. He tried to kill you too. Wanted to make a clean job, and then maybe he liked killing by then, or maybe he had to because you're going to be willing to take him on. And then he's like, but he couldn't do it. Never wondered how you got that cut on your forehead. That's no ordinary cut. That's what you get when your powerful evil curse touches you. Took care of your mum and dad and your house even. Like, well, I like, obviously, Valkadara's not been sort of created yet. Again, that's sort of like a powerful evil curse. Like, there's only one killing curse. Like, you can kill people other ways, but a killing curse, like, yeah, like, it didn't deal with the Valkadara's not blowing up the house. If you would Valkadara a boiler, it's not. I don't think it's causing the boiler to explode. Maybe it does. Maybe, but you'd be better off using Confringo, something like that. But obviously, yeah. Again, it's just a bit jaunty. Like the killing curse, it's a dark, powerful curse that cut that head. I mean, obviously after Goblet of Fire, it's just the killing curse. It's a Varkadavra. Before that, it's a bit like the Dementors. They're always the Azkaban guards and Chamber and Prisoner. Up until Harry actually meets him, it's like no one ever refers to it. It's just like it's jaunty writing that. And like if I was a publisher, I'd be like, if I read that, I'd be like, so Arthur Weasley calls them the Azkaban guards, and then after that we call them Dementors. Yeah, that's correct. Like, is that not a bit odd? But suspense. And yeah, so he's obviously but it didn't work, and that's why you're famous. No one ever lived after he decided to kill him. So not just him. So have other people survived the killing curse? And obviously this whole, we'll get onto it in the last chapter, the whole Lily's love thing, the sort of the Fidelis, not the Fidelis charm, sorry. Lily's, dying for love. Has no one else ever done that? Does it have to be a particular set of circumstances? Does it have to be, like, what? How has no one else done this? But no one lived once he decided to kill them. No one's lived, hopefully, after anyone's decided to kill them. But as we know, Moody says, like, you could all cast Ubakadar on me right now, but because you're all crap at magic, it'd just give me a nosebleed. So does that count? I don't know. And then anyway, accept you, and you kill some of the best witches of the age, the McKinnons. I don't think we meet any more McKinnons. I think they are wiped out, obviously. But the Bones, who we meet Susan, and we meet Madam Bones, who is then sadly killed in Half-Blood Prince. Well, just before the events of Half-Blood Prince by Voldemort himself. And the Pruitts. And you was only a baby and you lived. So the Pruitts, as we find out, Gideon and I always forget what the other one's called. So Gideon, his brother, were Molly Weasley's brothers. And obviously they were killed. And there's a theory like they were just killed. I think if you do some extra reading, just before Harry gets. So people think they got lured them there because they were Gryffindors to get the sort of Gryffindor, sort of like make sort of torture him. And then Voldemort was going to then get the sword of Gryffindor, kill Harry, turn it into a Horcrux, and he'd complete the set. Hufflepuff, Slytherin, Gryffindor, and Ravenclaw have the set for Horcruxes, but the sword never turned up. Or if it did, it then obviously disappeared because Voldemort is not a true Gryffindor. And then Harry saw a blinding flash of green light, more clear than he remembered, and then something else, a cold, cruel laugh. And again, obviously, this is the magic, it's the scar, it's the connection. He can cast his mind back to that time. It's always weird how he can just cast his mind back to that specific time, but there we go. I love this. Hagrid's just watching him sadly. I can imagine, oh, poor kid. And then, obviously, Hagrid's like, yeah, I brought you here. Orders from Dumbledore brought you to this lot. And then Vernon pipes up. He's not having, he's like, load of old tosh. And again, I just love that word. Load of old tosh, Shut up, Hagrid. And then he goes, now listen here, I accept there's something strange about you, probably nothing a good beating. Just brilliant parenting advice from Vernon Dursley here. Absolutely brilliant. And as for your parents, they got what they asked for, mixed up with these wizarding types. Like, well, James, like, again, James Potter was always a wizard. He was always a wizard. He'd have always been a wizard. He was born into it. He was, what are you about getting mixed up? You're all getting mixed up. And you best be careful here, Jurgen. Always knew they'd come to a sticky end. Like, Jesus, like, this is I think this is actually the most horrible Vernon ever. Like, after this, he can't be more horrible. He's basically, yeah. A lot of people say your parents. I feel like I don't know if it's in the book or films, but obviously Draco in his first meeting is like, yeah, you'll go the same way as your parents, meddlesome. Obviously, then it's in the films. Your parents were meddlesome, Phils too, Potter. One day you'll meet the same sticky end, and that's Lucius in the films. I don't know if he does it in the book, but it's a lot of sticky ends, a lot of sticky toffee puddy endings for the Potters. And then Hagrid's like, watch yourself, mate. I'm warning you. One more word. In danger of being speared on the end of an umbrella by a bearded giant, Uncle Vernon's courage failed again. And then Hagrid's like, that's better. Calming himself down. Like, I've done something. And then Harry still had hundreds of questions. Like, one, what happened to, well, sorry, I mean, you know who. And again, no one instructs him to say you know who, but everyone does say you know who. I don't, like, if I just go back a page, no, sorry. The mystery is why you know who never, so Hagrid does says it, sorry. I retract that statement. What happened? Good question. Good question, Harry. I wanted to actually explain this. Disappeared, vanished, same night tried to kill you. Makes you even more famous. That's the biggest mystery, you see. He was getting more and more powerful. Why did he go? Some say he died. Codswallop, in my opinion. Don't know if he had enough human left in him to die. Some say he's still out there, biding his time. But I don't. This is what I don't get. Like, is that not the same thing as, he didn't die, he's not got enough human, he's just and then people like, he's biding his time. He's like, I don't believe that. Isn't that the same thing you believe, Hagrid? Or do they think, like, he's fully formed, he's just like, oh, I'll give it 10 years or something, that would be a bit embarrassing, I got beat by a baby, I'll just wait out in the forest. But obviously what Hagrid thinks, not enough human left in him to die. And then, some of them, that is literally what happened, isn't it? He didn't have enough human because he's taken all his souls out, and he survived that way. So Hagrid, you're a pretty smart guy. Did you know that? Um, People who was on his side came out of trances. Don't reckon they could have done if he was coming back. Most of us reckon he's still out there somewhere, but lost his powers 2 weeks to carry on, which exactly he has, like Hagrid. Cogswallop, not enough human. He's out there still, carrying on 2 week for. Because something about you finished him. There was something going on that night he couldn't count it on. I don't know what it was. No one does. But something about you stumped him all right. Dumbledore knows. And he'll tell a bit at the end of his book. And then Hagrid looked at him with respect. And then Harry's like, "Oh, I don't think I can be a wizard. You know, why didn't all the times these lot have been horrible to me and mean? Why have I not turned them into frogs? You know, why have I not done anything? I can't be a wizard." And then Hagrid chuckled. "Not a wizard, eh? Never made anything happen when you're scared or angry." And Harry started looking back. The hare jumping up on the roof. And the last time, the snake. Of course he's a wizard. You'll be right, and then obviously you'll be right famous at Hogwarts. And then Vernon's like, "Yo, what? One more time. He wasn't going out with a fight. Haven't I told you? He's not going. He's going to Stonewall High, and he'll be great for it. I've read those letters. You need all sorts of rubbish spell books ones. If he wants to go, a great muggle like you won't stop him." Again, sort of using muggle as an insult here, Hagrid. Stop luring James Potter's son into Hogwarts. You're mad. His name's been down ever since he was born. And again, I'm guessing at the time this wasn't the sort of thing, but we know now there's the Book of Acquittance and the Quill of Acceptance, or the Book of Acceptance, the Quill of Acquittance. It's one of them. And obviously that is where it's locked away in a high tower in Hogwarts, and when you perform a bit of magic or you prove you're magical enough, the sort of book and quill have to agree, and then they write your game down and you can go to Hogwarts. And obviously if he was, Harry popped out the womb, it's like, this guy's magical AF. Get his name in. Like, obviously, Neville, it took a bit of time here when he bounced down the sort of thing when he was 8. People sort of thought he was a squib or something. So to come straight out of the womb, you've got to be magical. And I wonder what, like, for people like Hermione or Lily, I wonder what their sort of, like, magicalness was to accept them in. As a mug. I've always wondered that. It is interesting. So there you go. And then obviously Hagrid bigs up Hogwarts, like, "Oh, how amazing it'll be." And then this is the final straw. "Vernon, you've done it bad here. I'm not paying some crackpot old fool to teach you magic tricks." But he's finally gone too far. Hagrid sees the umbrella, and he was ready to hit, and he's like, "Never insult Albus Dumbledore in front of me." He brought the umbrella swishing down through the air, pointed at Dudley. There was a flash of violet light. It sounded like a firecracker. And the next second, Dudley was dancing on the spot with his hands collapsed over his fat bottom. I like how we have to say it's fat again. Just get one last poke at Dudley before we realise he's got a pig's tail on him. It's just come out of him. And we'll touch on the pig's tail in the next 2 chapters' time, actually. But what I always find, he's like, "I was meant to turn into a pig, but I suppose he's as much as a pig. He's too much of a pig already." It's like, either magic's just like, this guy's fat and pretty much a pig and we'll just give him a tail. Or, obviously, Hagrid, not being great at magic, couldn't actually do the full transformation. And, like, if he did the transfiguration, turn into a pig, would he have just turned him straight back? Like, straight, what was his plan once Dudley was a pig? I know he lost his temper, and he's like, "I shouldn't have done any magic. Please don't tell anyone. I was actually expelled." And we'll come to find out in the next book why. But it's one thing. Hagrid loves talking, but it's the one thing. And obviously he lets stuff out accidentally. That's Hagrid 101, isn't it? "Oh, I shouldn't have said that. Oh, I shouldn't have said that." But he will never talk about why he was expelled. And he's just, Harry goes, "Okay, I won't tell anyone." And he goes, "Why were you expelled?" He's like, "It's getting late. We've got to be up early. Let's just get to bed." The Dursleys run into another room. And, like, it's so, obviously they're just terrified magic, and obviously that happens to him, and it's the first time something happens to Dudley. This guy must be traumatized. This guy needs therapy for life after this story, trust me. And then, like, these two just go to sleep. And if I found out I was a wizard and my cousin had, like, a tail on, and how are you able to sleep as Harry? Like, your mind must be racing. Like, the Dursleys can't be sleeping. I mean, that poor kid's got a fucking tail. Like, they're staying up all night. I know that. As Harry, I don't know how he sleeps, but he gets under Hagrid's big coat, and he goes, "Don't mind it," he goes a bit. "I still got a couple of dormice in one of the pockets." bloody, you've got how it's fucking Dr. Dolittle over here. How many animals do you have in your pockets, man? It's absolutely crazy. But yes, I love that. Obviously, it's my favourite chapter so far. We're finally introduced to the magic. It's sort of where the story swells up, kicks off. Obviously, I love the stuff where obviously you find out he's a wizard, that sort of story of Voldemort, and just Hagrid as a character. Obviously, I just love Hagrid. He's brilliant. Like, he's the, not that Dumbledore used him or Sirius uses it, but like, I think just Hagrid just loves Harry for just being Harry, completely. Just a great character, a great chapter. Obviously, a lot of fun happens, and just, yeah, overall really fun. Obviously, next time out we're going to Diagon Alley. A few little things there, obviously, like the sort of 20 years, like some sort of things, and obviously the killing curse, but overall solid. Vernon does pretty well. Like, I'm surprised Vernon stands up as much as he does, like, because he's never that brave again. The wizards just, yeah, finished him off. But yes, next time out, chapter 5, Diagon Alley, probably the longest chapter in the book, actually. So we're touching an hour on this video. Maybe we'll be touching an hour next time. But let me know your thoughts on this chapter down below, guys. We'll be back Wednesday for some more sort of like ranking the books I think we'll be doing this time. But until then, have a great weekend. I'll see you all very soon. Bye-bye.